ProGent, 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 Gent, ProGent. ProGent, 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 Gent. GentiGent, ProGent, Brent Gent, ProGent. ProGent, Gent, Brent Gent, ProGent. Brent Gent, ProGent. Brent Gent, ProGent. Gent, ProGent. 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 No offense, this is really stupid. There's no way we're doing the whole episode like this. Initially released in 1995 on the Nintendo Game Boy, the Pocket Monsters series, better known as Pokemon, has become an empire within Nintendo that can't be toppled. Between main games, spin-offs, the card game, toys, stage musicals... Jeez, what is it with Japan and adapting everything into musicals? Wait, you're saying America did this? Okay, I stand corrected. Anyways, you get the picture. Pokemon stands as one of the most profitable franchises in all of video gaming. But of course, there's one major adaptation left out of that list. The phenomenally successful anime series. Released 2 years after the franchise began, the anime has stayed on air to this day both in Japan and internationally, with over 1,000 episodes produced, plus a few TV specials, side stories, and nearly 24 movies. There are entire channels devoted to Pokemon, and there's enough material for me to cover for years just in the anime. However, for the sake of ever being able to cover any other franchise ever, today we're just looking at one little bit of the Pokemon anime. Specifically, the film that really solidified my love for Pokemon when I was a wee lad. Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. Our cast includes... Okay, let's be honest here. I could do one of my usual funny bits where I introduce the characters as, like, characters from other series or something, but even if you're not a Pokemon fan, chances are you've got a pretty good idea of the main characters here. Just in case, Ash, Misty, Brock, Pikachu, Team Rocket, Mewtwo, there you go. Now with a name like Mewtwo Strikes Back, you'd presume the movie would open in, like, dark and creepy laboratory where mad scientists are working on creating the ultimate Pokemon. So when you start the movie up and you see a sunny Pokemon paradise and hear the annoyingly catchy pop song playing, you might be somewhat confused as to the tone we're setting here. See, Pokemon the first movie takes a cue from the golden age of film, and actually plays a short called Pikachu's Vacation before the actual striking back commences. To make a long story short, the protagonists drop their Pokemon off at a park to relax. Some bully Pokemon show up, the good guy Pokemon get harassed by the bullies for a while, before making friends with them. The most notable thing about Pikachu's Vacation is that it featured the first appearances of Snubbull and Meryl. Other than that historical tidbit, it's basically harmless fluff, which has nothing at all to do with the main story, and could be skipped easily. With the short out of the way, it's finally time for Psych! Another short! Actually, this second short, Origin of Mewtwo, wasn't shown in theaters when the movie was first released, but it was added in for later home video versions. This one, as the name implies, tells the backstory of Mewtwo's creation, which isn't really covered in the main movie and is... kind of important? We see the mad scientists I previously mentioned trying to clone the supposedly extinct Pokemon Mew. As a note, this is what Mew looks like. And this is what Mewtwo looks like. You may want to check the settings on your cloning machine there, dude. Anyway, Mewtwo befriends a few other cloned Pokemon, who actually look like the species they're cloned from, oddly enough, along with the consciousness of a young girl named Amber. Unfortunately, these clones rapidly decompose, leaving Mewtwo alone. The scientists decide to erase Mewtwo's memories of having friends, which I'm sure is a great plan. The feature presentation starts here, and continues on from the origin short by showing the wreckage of the lab. Turns out deleting a super powerful being's happiest memories tends not to be a great plan after all. After destroying the lab, Mewtwo meets up with Giovanni, the leader of the villainous Team Rocket, who convinces Mewtwo to don power armor and fight for him. This lasts about 5 minutes, or just long enough for ominous power armor Mewtwo to be foreshadowed in the main series, before Mewtwo figures out that Giovanni's only using him and pieces out, heading back to the island where he was created to plot his revenge on humanity. After the various production company logos, we switch over to Ash, Misty, and Brock. After a brief battle scene which mainly serves to allow time to roll the opening credits, also first appearance of Donphan, yay! Our heroes receive an invitation to face the world's greatest Pokemon trainer. Ash, wanting to be the very best like no one ever was and all, excitedly agrees and the three head to a nearby port city to catch a boat to the island. Mewtwo, who, in case you hadn't guessed, is the one sending out the invites, whips up a storm which causes the local authorities, represented as usual by Officer Jenny, to shut down the port for safety. Yes, Mewtwo invites powerful trainers to his island for nefarious purposes, then deliberately makes it almost impossible for them to actually get there. No, I don't know why, shut up. A little thing like extremely dangerous boating conditions never stopped Pokemon trainers, so a bunch of them set out to the island anyway using their Pokemon. Luckily for Ash and company, they encounter a couple of not at all familiar looking Vikings, who offer to take them across in their boat. Team Rocket suffers their normal misfortune, their boat sinks, and the protagonists are forced to use their Pokemon to make it the rest of the way, while Team Rocket basically washes up ashore. Once on the island, Ash and crew meet with a mysteriously brainwashed Nurse Joy, who reveals Mewtwo as the world's greatest trainer. He sends out clones of Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard, who swiftly defeat their real counterparts, apparently proving the superiority of the cloned Pokemon. Mewtwo then shoots off a swarm of black Pokeballs, which chase after and capture all of the other Pokemon the trainers brought with them, and sends them deeper into the facility to be cloned themselves. Ash, Misty, and Brock are naturally somewhat upset by this, and set out to find and free their Pokemon. Ultimately, the trainers discover Mewtwo's plan, which is to clone an army of Pokemon and basically exterminate all of human life. An hour ago, we were watching Pikachu go down a really long slide. Now we're watching Ash try to stop an apocalypse. This movie gets dark quick. The trainers rescue their original Pokemon, and Ash summons his inner badass and leads them to confront Mewtwo and his clone army. On paper, since the clone army is headed by the most powerful Pokemon that existed at the time, whereas the originals are led by a 10-year-old, this seems somewhat one-sided. Luckily for the good guys, it's at about this time that the supposedly extinct ancient Pokemon Mew comes right the hell out of nowhere to fight against Mewtwo. The ensuing battle is actually really brutal. Most Pokemon battle scenes are all about flashy special moves and superpowers, whereas this is basically a meat grinder. Each original pairs off with its clone, and since they're actually pretty evenly matched, the battles don't end quickly. While Mewtwo and Mew are flying around the battlefield DBZ style, the ground troops are eventually reduced to scratching and punching, and it becomes clear to the trainers that this is less a glorious last stand and more of a tragic and pointless war. Again, very dark. Very quick! Ash finally has enough of this scene and steps into the middle of it to stop the fight. Literally. He steps between Mewtwo and Mew, as they're firing energy beams at each other. Ash is dumb. Somehow, being sandwiched between two beams of energy petrifies Ash, rather than the expected obliteration. And then, it's that scene. Pikachu cries at the apparent death of his friend, and the other Pokemon and clones begin crying as well. And apparently Pokemon tears have some kind of previously unexplained magical healing property, unpetrifying Ash and allowing for our happy ending. Oh, and then Mewtwo, now having seen the error of his ways, erases everybody's memory of the whole incident, so as to prevent having to awkwardly fit this movie into main series continuity. So, It's stupid. It's really, really stupid. You could drive a truck through some of the plot holes, and it's basically 10 minutes of plot and 40 minutes of Pokemon battles. However, I actually like this movie. I loved it when I was a kid, obviously, and maybe part of it is nostalgia, but I really do think that some of the messages, particularly the parts about seeing past differences, actually work well. And there are some very cool moments. Hell, there might even be something in there about the ethics of cloning and genetic engineering if you look hard enough. If you want a movie that has some fun visuals, featuring some of your favorite first-gen Pokemon, and some sometimes horrendous voice acting that is a laugh riot, I'd definitely say, go watch Mewtwo Strikes Back. Especially if you've already seen it. Maybe skip Pikachu's vacation, though. I've been the Professional Gentleman, and thank you for listening. Be warned, the soundtrack for this movie contains a song with the lyrics, "Don't be a Brontosaurus."
Don't be a brontosaurus.
I wasn't ready! Thanks for watching. As always, a thank you to Andy Lita for keeping me looking so fine. Check out his work in the description below. If you enjoyed the show, please click on that thumbs up over there. It helps us out a lot. If you've got suggestions for something I can review in the future, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And of course, subscribe to my channel for future content.
Love ya, boy.